Okay, picture this for a moment. Imagine a world where some really powerful technologies are operating completely in the shadows, hidden from us.
Beyond public view.
Exactly. And for years, we've heard about the high-frequency active auroral research program, HAARP. It's always presented as this, well, pretty harmless scientific thing.
Just a research station out in Alaska, studying the atmosphere. That's the official line anyway.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's just sort of a cover?
Well, that's what we're looking into today.
Right. Our mission here is to really dive deep into a stack of sources, mostly focusing on these alleged leaks from Edward Snowden, the NSA whistleblower. And these sources, they claim to expose HAARP's, well, let's just say, a much more sinister global agenda.
And according to these materials, yeah, HAARP, it's out there in Gakona, Alaska, very remote. Publicly, it's for research.
Right.
But the Snowden leaks, as cited in these sources, they suggest something far more disturbing, a completely different purpose.
And it's pretty shocking stuff if these claims are accurate.
Yeah.
We're talking about allegations of a weapon.
A weapon, yes.
For mass manipulation, even global assassination, according to the sources, with capabilities ranging from targeting individuals,
Specific people,
to influencing huge global events. So today we're asking, what does this all mean for us? What do these documents really suggest about power and secrecy?
And maybe even about human dignity itself.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources are pointing directly at Edward Snowden.
The NSA whistleblower.
Right. He allegedly gave documents to reporters at the Internet Chronicle. And these documents, well, they supposedly blow the lid off HAARP's real purpose.
So forget benign science facility.
According to these sources, yes. They purport to confirm it's a tool for mass manipulation and targeted elimination.
That's really a core claim in these sources we looked at. They stress how this, what they call the military prison industrial complex, has allegedly hidden HAARP's true aims for years. Just portraying it as this harmless research station way out in Nikola, Alaska. Keep it out of the public eye.
Right, keep it quiet.
Exactly.
Oh.
And Snowden's supposed leaks, if they're genuine, are described as shedding this really unsettling light on it all, exposing it as a covert weapon.
And the specific claims in these documents, they're quite chilling, actually. It's not just general influence they allege.
Yeah, it's very specific.
It's claimed HAARP is used to silence, even eliminate, individuals seen as threats to, well, the sources term it global capitalism.
And it goes beyond just discrediting someone, doesn't it?
The sources allege HAARP can target an individual's brainstem.
A brainstem, wow.
Using ultra-high-powered radio waves. These waves, they say, are tuned to specific frequencies that can mess with the brainstem's electrical signals.
How? What's the alleged effect?
Well, allegedly disrupting its function in a way that looks like a stroke or a heart attack.
So, deaths that appear completely natural?
That's the claim, leaving everyone totally unaware of any kind of, sinister intervention.
And what's really striking is how the sources say this expands beyond just individuals.
Right.
Snowden reportedly claimed that NATO uses HAARP.
NATO, okay.
Yes, allegedly to remotely suppress or manipulate people deemed perpetrators of deviant or subversive ideologies.
But manipulation? How?
Well, the report suggests it could even make targeted individuals act erratically, maybe seem insane.
To discredit them publicly.
Exactly. So it's a system supposedly designed not just to eliminate, but also to control the narrative, control perception.
And then there's this part from the sources about Snowden's own experience. It's quite personal and pretty compelling, if true.
What happened there?
Well, during his escape, going from Hong Kong to Moscow, he and WikiLeaks staff apparently had to constantly fight off these radio-generated homicidal delusions.
Homicidal delusions.
Generated by radio waves. That's what the sources contend, yes. They argue it just highlights how pervasive and, frankly, chilling HAARP's alleged mind control capabilities are.
Wow. It makes you wonder, how did he even protect himself from something like that?
That's a really crucial question, isn't it? And the sources actually detail his alleged methods. Desperate measures, they say.
Like what?
He apparently turned his living space into a kind of fortress, an impregnable Faraday cage.
A Faraday cage, like the metal enclosure.
Exactly, to block external electromagnetic fields, including the very radio waves HAARP allegedly uses for mind control, creating a zone of electronic silence.
Okay, and to back this up, did he provide anything?
The sources say he did. He purportedly gave the Internet Chronicle HAARP documents.
Where did he get them?
sourced, allegedly, from private emails of high-ranking officials. We're talking admirals, Air Force brigadier generals.
And these documents were verified.
It's claimed that reports within the intelligence community independently verify their authenticity, confirming what the sources call horrifying implications for human dignity. So this isn't just Snowden making these claims in isolation, then.
Apparently not. The sources try to connect it to earlier disclosures.
Like who?
They point to Nick Biggish. He's the brother of a U.S. senator. Back in 2009, on that show Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, he apparently stated that manipulating emotions with HAARP was disturbingly easy.
Okay, so that adds another layer, suggesting maybe a consistent thread here, at least according to these accounts.
Right, a pattern of concern over time.
Yeah.
And if you connect this to the wider alleged network, the sources suggest even more complexity.
How so?
They mention individuals apparently familiar with talks between DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Agency, and the University of Alaska.
Who collaborate on HAARP publicly, right?
Correct. These individuals supposedly indicate that cell towers and even systems like trapwire, that surveillance software,
Trapwire.
might also be integrated into this whole alleged scheme.
So, potentially a vast interconnected web of control.
That's the picture painted by the sources, yeah. A really wide net.
It all sounds incredibly advanced, almost like science fiction, but the sources actually trace the idea back quite a long way.
Oh, really? How far back?
Over a century. They attribute the foundational concepts to Nikola Tesla.
Tesla.
And then later to patents by Bernard Eastland. So this historical angle, it certainly gives the alleged conspiracy a different kind of weight, suggesting a long development.
It really does. It's not just some new, sudden capability, according to them. Then the sources assert that HAARP, which started as this joint U.S.-funded ionospheric research program, has allegedly stayed hidden from real public scrutiny. They claim installations aren't just in Alaska, but possibly Sweden, Russia, other places.
And not just for science.
Not according to these sources, no. They're described as potential instruments of mass destruction designed to disrupt the world's balance.
And there's even mention of an insider.
Yes, a former HAARP insider, allegedly, who dared to speak out.
And what did this person claim?
Asserted that HAARP was never meant for peaceful research. It was supposedly conceived as a warfare method.
Warfare how?
To eliminate nations gradually, without bullets or bombs, by destroying agricultural output, undermining the very basics of life.
Destroying agriculture?
Yeah.
How could it allegedly do that?
Well, the sources get into that, suggesting it could potentially disrupt weather patterns needed for crops, cause droughts or floods, or even subtly change soil chemistry with resonant frequencies, leading to famine, economic collapse, all without overt military action.
Killing stuff.
And the heart of it all, according to these sources, is that facility in Gakona, Alaska.
Right, the main HAARP site.
With its 36 million watt antenna array, all shrouded in secrecy. Operated by the U.S. military, designed by BAE Advanced Technologies. The sources basically ask, what dark experiments are really happening there?
What are they doing under those Alaskan skies?
Yeah, the implication is this hidden power, capable of massive global impact.
So if we take these claims at face value, just based on the sources, it paints a picture of a global conspiracy that allegedly threatens the very fabric of society.
It really does.
This facility, HAARP, once viewed as just a scientific outpost, is now exposed by these sources as a purported weapon of mass control and assassination.
A stark contrast.
We've definitely explored that profound difference between the public image and the unsettling light these documents supposedly cast, and that dual nature of its alleged capabilities.
Individual targeting on one hand.
Right, manipulation, assassination, and then this broader environmental and societal control on the other.
And synthesizing all that, the sources really highlight these specific, quite disturbing details, don't they?
They do.
The alleged targeting of brain stems to cause deaths that look natural, the use of these ultra-high-powered radio waves for mind control and discrediting people.
And the connections mentioned.
Yeah, the alleged links to NATO, cell towers, trapwire, and tracing it all back historically through Bernard Eastland, right back to Nikola Tesla. It suggests this long covert program.
It's a scope, as the sources put it, that threatens the very fabric of our society.
Yeah.
It absolutely challenges our understanding of power, of secrecy.
Human dignity, yeah.
Definitely.
So here's a final thought, maybe something for you to consider, building on this source material. If these sources are accurate, if this technology, supposedly run by the U.S. military with this huge 36 million watt antenna array, has secretly been influencing everything from, individual behavior to global weather, even agricultural output.
What other ionosphere heaters, that's the term often used for these kinds of facilities.
Right, these powerful transmitters.
What other similar facilities or other covert technologies might be out there just waiting to be uncovered, and how might they be shaping the world we experience every single day? What a thought to end on, indeed. We definitely invite you to keep exploring the ideas and the questions raised by this deep dive on your own.